Let's see. It's not showing up. So let's see here. Okay, so let's see the live. Okay, we have sound. We have sound. Cool. All right then. That's good. That's good news. So at least we know we can be heard. Guys, seriously. I don't understand what else I have to do to prove to you guys that there's something suspicious going on here. You know? How else can I do? What else can I provide you? Today's video is trying to talk about the reality of suicide bombers and the fact that I think one's coming. I think there's going to be, the next big sort of scary story is going to be, maybe even it's the Disneyland one. Maybe it's some sort of Disneyland attack. But interestingly, we haven't really heard of suicide bombers as of late. So interestingly as well, the video finally has sound, and the last video had 7 viewers by the time I ended it, which was a minute and a half into it. Here we are 2 minutes in and 1 viewer. Interesting. Interesting. Don't you guys think this is crazy? Don't you guys think this is crazy? I had to try 6 times to go live this morning. I had to reset my phone. I had to do all kinds of shit just so I could be heard. Have you seen this before? Have you heard of this with anybody else? The reality is, I'm the good guy. I don't support Islam in the slightest. I think it's awful. But I don't think you need to make up bullshit in order to make Islam look bad. And what's crazy is like, you hear lots of dumb white guy Christians being like, well, Muhammad, what about Muhammad? He took a young bride, blah, blah, blah. You know that fucking Mary was probably 13, 14 years old? Especially when you look at the Jewish traditions that it all comes from. She was legally an adult by their belief structure at 13. So that's usually when they were sold off into marriage. Having daughters was valuable because you would gain land and all kinds of stuff to take the daughter off of somebody's hands. It's so strange because what's done to my feed is a story within itself. But because I'm just so used to it, it's like, yeah, whatever. It's only the 6th try, and I mention it, but we don't really get into it because I think there are much bigger stories at play, much bigger things to look into. But really, you know, so much of what I talk about isn't going to get validated by the president or anyone. Nobody's going to come out and be like, this just in. Everything Guy Williams is talking about is true, and we don't want you guys to see it because we're scared of you being smarter. You know, that shit's not going to happen. So you have to look at what's given to you as it is. And when you stumble across someone whose page doesn't work like anyone else's you've ever seen, you have to, like, wake up to it. You have to see it for what it is. Holy shit, this guy's got something else going on here. And I just keep trying to get you guys to, like, see the truth. You know? If I'm wrong about something, by all means, point it out. Do what I'm doing. Morning. Thanks for letting me sleep.
You see?
Oh, the cake that you're making?
Did you see what it is?
I assume it's a strawberry cake. No, it's a cheesecake of some sort.
It is a from scratch, specially tracked down recipe for a cheesecake.
Nice work. I'm going to open it for him. Why would I look in there? I get yelled at for doing stuff
It's
like that.
free. I mean, if you want it for breakfast.
I may just take you up on that. This is my 6th attempt at a video today because it keeps coming through with no sound, and
we can make
she doesn't care.
Either strawberry, not blackberry, I had to throw those out. Strawberry, raspberry, or blueberry.
Compote? Yeah, I don't like those. I like cheesecake as it is. Cheesy and cakey. Hello. Oh, hello, little girl. Oh, hello, little girl. What you doing up here looking all cute? I'm just being cute. That's what I do. We should have named her Dot. I need to make Rice Krispie treats that they didn't survive the night. Well, all right. I hope your Rice Krispie treats come out ricey and crispy. And then, so, I'm not sure if you meant to, but if you had a Facebook page I was connected to, I would send you a screenshot of the second comment that you made that says WhatsApp with 2 symbols next to it, with 2 emojis next to it. But you also have the translation symbol, that weird translation symbol that started showing up the other day, on the left-hand side of your... So I don't know what your second comment was supposed to say, but it says WhatsApp. I don't know. I can't see what that is. Maybe drinking a beer? I don't really know. But yeah, that's what came through. Like I said, when you see something that you never seen before, it's cheers. That's what I thought. Drinking beer, cheers. That's what it looked like in my old eyes. But so you did say WhatsApp and then 2 cheers symbols? Just want to know. That's all. It's just an experiment. Yeah, what's up? No, you didn't say that. You said WHATSAPP. WhatsApp. That's interesting. Why does it do that? My day is interesting, as always. You don't do WhatsApp. Yeah, I didn't think you typed WhatsApp, but that's what it says you typed. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. So as I've been trying to talk about, I heard you talk about Disneyland being searched. I saw something like that on IG. Yeah. So this is a new thing that's been discovered. Who discovered it? How it was discovered? If we were supposed to discover it, I don't know. But it was a new. Somebody figured out that Google has like a tracking, just an internal tracking mechanism that will show how many times anything, any word, any something was searched in a given area on a given day. And so specifically things like names like Tyler Robinson, those things don't tend to come up, especially in places like Israel, where why is somebody searching randomly Tyler Robinson shortly before Tyler Robinson makes the news? And so since this thing has been discovered, and I think it was discovered with Charlie Kirk, maybe, I don't even know, but Tyler Robinson, Charlie Kirk shooting, Charlie Kirk dead, these things were all searched for prior to that happening, specifically out of Israel. And maybe Washington, D.C. as well, I think. And so people have figured this out, and they're now applying this same sort of thing to everything. And it turns out Bondi Beach shooters' names were searched for out of Israel before the thing happened. And, who knows just how far this goes back and how many different things you can apply this to. I would assume if it hasn't been scrubbed already, it could go back as far as you wanted it to. The creator of Call of Duty died in a car wreck. I think they killed him. People die in car wrecks. I don't know. Why would they kill him? What would be the reason to kill him? But back to the search thing. Something that's been noticed is that Disneyland bombing was being searched for pretty significantly out of Israel over the last week or two, whatever. And who knows, maybe just acknowledging that we saw the search terms coming out of Israel before the thing, maybe that does prevent the thing from happening, because then it would just be too obvious. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. But something I've noticed that's been coming up lately too is the idea of suicide bombing. And this meme that I keep seeing shows a woman in a hijab saying, "What's the difference between me wearing this and a nun?" And then the person responding, or in the case of the video I saw this morning, a big giant gorilla responds by saying, "Well, nuns don't explode." And so suddenly, into this new lexicon, the idea of suicide bombers is a thing again. It's something that's being talked about again. And, the second or third time I see it within so many days, that's when I start paying attention. That's when I start saying, are they preparing us for something? And then you apply that to the Disneyland thing, and boy, that could be pretty interesting. So I decided to look up the term, look up just look up suicide bombing and look up the history of it. Because I had heard in the past that the 72 virgins thing isn't a thing. Because like you know, thinking about suicide bombing, your first thought is like, what is the benefit? How does that even work? How does somebody do something like that knowing the history of suicide bombings has done nothing but strengthened the regime? Suicide bombers don't end up hurting anybody important. They don't end up destroying anything that matters to the system. So it's like shooting missiles into Israeli airspace. Who would be dumb enough to do that in the last 10 years, knowing that Israel brags about its Iron Dome, David's sling, and broken arrow, maybe not broke, just arrow, whatever, the missile defense system that they have, the 3-layered missile defense system that they have. Most of you know about Iron Dome, which is the short range, but David's sling is the mid-range, and then the arrow, it's either arrow or broken arrow, but I think it's arrow. The arrow system is the long-range missile defense system, none of which are actually real. They're just, if you think they're real, then they work. But knowing that people think they're real, knowing that we've been shown video after video of somebody shooting supposedly rockets into Israeli airspace where they're then shot down precisely 100% of the time, 99% of the time, because the system can also analyze the rockets that aren't going to actually hit anything, and they let those fall to the ground, or if they're going to fall in like a Palestinian area or whatever, they let that happen. But they have proven time and time again by showing us this pre-planned narrative where Israel shoots rockets into Israeli airspace, an agreed upon coordinate, so that they can be shot down so precisely. And Iran showed you that shit isn't real. Iran's missiles got through. But this is how this whole system works. And you have to ask yourself, like, why would anyone ever, especially a small Palestinian group, resistance group, whatever, knowing that their missiles are never going to hit anything, and then in response to the missile being fired from said area, Israel will have jets and a response team ready to go, along with 10 targets all around the area which the missiles were launched from, that will, that are ready to fucking go, and in response to your 1 or 2 missiles getting shot down by their system, they will bring death and destruction to everyone in that region. Why would anybody ever do that? They're not going to get anything out of it. And so it's that same mentality with the suicide bomber. Why would any suicide bomber ever do anything that they're not going to see the benefit of? And that history has shown doesn't do anything but make their cause look worse and accomplishes nothing. One of the greats, he paved the way for FPS first-person shooter games, huge success in gaming, and he had past beef with Activision, and Microsoft owns Activision now. He's working on Battlefield. Again, what is the benefit of killing him? What do they, what do they get out of it? What's the danger that he poses? It just seems strange, like. So I you look at what they say. What do they say? What they've sold us on for the last, my lifetime. And you come to find out it has to do with something Tim Osman had to say. Tim Osman, Osama bin Laden. See, again, like, why would I ever give a shit about the creator of a video game when there are so much bigger things to talk about? There are a gazillion people out there talking about the guy from Call of Duty. Appreciate you. Thanks, Dean. Do me a favor and share it. Take 2 seconds and share it on Facebook. Share it somewhere. Help me get out there. Because they are definitely doing their best on me today. I just bought it up. Didn't know what to comment on Israel. Yeah, but it's all connected. It's like people just don't understand that shit. People don't get that the 3 biggest religions are called Abrahamic religions. Abraham being the father of the Jewish people. Like, if that doesn't tell you everything, the Christians don't even think of themselves as Christian God's chosen people. A completely different religion altogether that actually hates them and thinks they're stupid and thinks Jesus is, I don't know if Jesus is boiling in the vat of semen like Mary is, but I know Mary is boiling in a vat of semen in hell. So, like, Christians believe that Christian God's favorite chosen people are that other religion. That's so insane. You wouldn't think it would be the majority. You'd think I'd be talking about some fringe group of weirdos. And instead, I'm talking about the vast majority of you. It's such a strange thing. And like right now we're watching as they're tagging a random shark for we gotta know we're gonna put this foreign device inside of its body. It's a little thing that they're gonna inject into a part of its body because it wants that. Look at that. It just makes a tiny incision because that didn't hurt it at all. Just cutting it a little bit. Now it's just bleeding. And it's like, oh, poor fishy. They just injected it with a dart, and oh, it's fine. It's good to go now. Who the fuck? People can't eat, but we need to know what the shark is doing, where the shark is going. Now that the shark has a tag, because that matters. How many thousands of dollars are spent on this shit? But so the suicide bomber thing again, so going back to it, what we've been told as Americans our entire lives now is that suicide bombers are motivated by the idea that they get 72 virgins when they die. Which isn't even true. It's not even a thing. It doesn't say that anywhere in the Quran. So you have to ask yourself, where did it come from? If it's not something that's in the Quran and easily, disseminated to the people, what the fuck? What are we talking about? Why do we all know that then? Why do we all know this 72 virgins thing? So then take it that step further. Who thinks that's a prize? I need details. Leah Bia! Morning. Merry Christmas. Who thinks male or female? We'll get it the other way around. We have a female on here. As a female, do 72 virgins sound fun to you? Does having sex with a single virgin sound fun to you? I had my opportunity to have take a few different girls' virginity when I was younger, and I never wanted to. I just thought, like, you know, that's something that's too special to be wasted on me, and, you know, there might be physical challenges. That's all I'm gonna say. I don't necessarily want to, you know, it's not gonna work out. It's just not gonna work out. But you know, who wants that? 72 virgins? And again, I'm assuming, you know, who are we talking about, like 26-year-old, 30-year-old virgins? Or are we talking about what would normally be considered virgins and, you know, 13, 14-year-old girls, 15-year-old girls? Seriously. Who is that a prize? I mean, I guess if you're like, you got the tiniest dick in the world and, you know, you want to feel like a slayer. I don't even know. I mean, if you had 72 virgins, by the time you actually got back to having sex with the first one, it would be months later. Well, how could you even begin to have sex with, keep 72 women, girls, satisfied? Especially since, according to the religious bullshit, they're not allowed to diddle each other. You have 72 girls at your beck and command, and they're not allowed to fuck with each other? That just seems weird. Such a weird prize. You know, such a weird ultimate prize for your life. Like, you're going to give up your life for such a strange thing? That's what you're going to give it up for? And, you know, as far as like this martyr bullshit goes, I can't tell you the name of any suicide bomber. You know, maybe they're revered in their small little community. Maybe they're the hot girl at the local bar. But, you know, take her to where everybody doesn't already know her name, and she becomes a 5 real quick. To me, that girl is the worst. She's so annoying. Because she thinks, you know, she thinks that's the reality. She thinks everybody is going to treat her like, you know, she's the hot girl at the local bar. Her perspective of reality is completely distorted. And that was I had that exact thing happen. I've told the story before with a dude who used to buy cards from me. And his caretaker was like his girlfriend, but he got no benefits from it. And she would nag him, and she would, you know, of course she was like a great girlfriend in that she kind of had to do what he said, even if she didn't like doing cards or something. She had to sort his cards or whatever it was. Assaulting a police canine is a serious crime. While the dog is biting the shit out of him, he's not supposed to stop the dog from biting him. Are you fucking crazy? The idea that dogs are even used is such a horrible thing. No dog wants to be a cop. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. They don't get like any sort of pride. Oh, I caught the bad guy. They're happy because you're happy. If you didn't have that dog putting its life on the line all the time and you just gave it love, it would be just as happy. You know, it's fucking stupid. It's so stupid, and they're not accurate. The thing about, you know, for hours, who you know, who is supposedly the officer's best buddy, but you don't fucking know. Especially on the days where the guy might be having a bad day, or his girlfriend was cheating on somebody else who, you know, because he has such a small dick, or whatever it might be. You know, you don't know that he's always just super nice to that dog. He's always tip-top with that. You don't know that shit. But when he finally gets let out, and he knows that if he at some point sits down, he's going to get all sorts of rewarded with all sorts. Oh shit, accident. No, he's going to get rewarded with all sorts of love. You know, or he doesn't find it and he gets put back in the cage. Of course he's going to want to fucking sit and show that he's a good boy. All that love that comes his way, that genuine love. Because, you know, the cop just loves, he is so happy to ruin someone's life over a dime bag of weed. He thinks that is just the greatest thing ever. What are we at? We're at 5. Are we at 5? Is anybody talking? Lee, are you still here? So suicide bomber, right? 72 virgins and shit. Let's look into it more than you realize, because the crazy thing is the suicide bomber was first suggested in the 40s. And from the 40s until the 80s, there were very few suicide bombers. And then suddenly in the 80s, Muslims were like, hey, I can get fucking 72 virgins, apparently. Even though that shit isn't true at all. And now we're sitting here. So I'm just going to read it to you again because, you know, most of you didn't hear it. So 72 virgins is a claim that states that a martyr will get 72 virgins in paradise. The 72 virgins does not appear in the Quran. This is where you're going to notice for some reason there's grammatical and spelling mistakes in this. You would think this would be very precise, but they are a simplified translations of lesser text and commentaries, such as the Hadith, that usually refer to huris rather than virgins. There is a common belief in Western countries and Israel, that's what it says, that Muslim men are enthusiastic about dying in battle because they believe they will be rewarded with 72 virgins in heaven. This is often used to explain suicide attacks and dismiss other possible motivations based on political or personal circumstances. Personal circumstances. Keep that in mind for later. This pervasive meme is derived from a reference to the heavenly angels in Islamic depictions of heaven, specifically a fairly obscure hadith describing them as dark-eyed virgin brides waiting for Islamic martyrs in heaven. But despite being a very common Islamophobic trope and prominent in anti-Arab racism, the story of 72 virgins, sometimes identified as huris, does not actually appear in the Quran and is mostly a myth about a myth. The Quran in Arabic is believed by devout Muslims to be the direct word of God, while the Hadith are supplementary texts of less value. They are quotes from the Prophet Muhammad, which are believed to often be reliable. Scholars attempt to assess their reliability through chains of narration, who told who that the prophet said, and many conclude that the story granting all men 72 wives has a weak chain of narrators. Asad Abu Khalil has stated that that, quote, the tendency to dwell on sexual motives of the suicide bombers belittles the bombers' socio-political causes, and that the alleged, quote, sexual frustration of Muslim men has, quote, been overly emphasized in Western and Israeli media as a motive for terrorism. And that's huge. Like, if you're honest with yourself here, if you're honest with the group, if you're honest with any of this, how many of you knew that the 72 virgins thing was a made-up Israeli story? Did you? Did you know that? Did you know that? Did you think the 72 virgins thing was a thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What you've always been told.
That's what you've been. My wife of all people thinks that. Until she was today years old, my wife thought that Muslims got 72 virgins for that's what they believed.
Yeah, that's what we're told.
Do you realize how insane that is? Like seriously, step back and think about that. Why would she believe that? Why do we all know that? Gets better. Some reports of suicide bombers, supposedly mentioning virgins waiting for them in heaven, have allegedly been mistranslated. Some scholars say the word used in the original Arabic has no connotation of gender and may be more accurately translates as angel or heavenly being. Christopher Luxemburg, in his German language book, The Syro-Aramaic Reading of the Quran, Koran, claimed the word for houris meant white raisins, based on translating the Arabic word as if it was a word in Syriac Aramaic. This interpretation has reportedly caused media storms. Here's a good part. The translation of the Koran, Quran, by N.J. Dawood, published as a Penguin paperback, describes houris as chaste and virgins. Dawood was a native speaker of Arabic, but not a Muslim or a religious scholar. So you would think they would sort of specify what he was then, right?
Yes.
Nope. Zuddin Sadar criticized Dawood's translation as containing, quote, distortions that give the Quran violent and sexist overtones, in a comparison to a modern translation by Tarif Khalidi. Sadar described the very popular Dawood translation as largely responsible for the current misconception that Muslim paradise is full of virgins, despite the fact that the Quran explicitly denies any carnal pleasures in paradise. Did you just hear that? No.
I missed that last part.
He says, it's largely responsible for the current misconception that Muslim paradise is full of virgins, despite the fact the Quran explicitly denies any carnal pleasures in paradise. Dawood's knowledge of Arabic language is extensive and respected, and he also translated government documents, but him not being Muslim has made his translations controversial. Many Muslims believe that fully capturing the meaning of the Quran in any other language is impossible, and it should only be attempted by a Muslim who understands the religion. That seems like, that's like a reasonable... A Muslim should probably be the one that translates the Quran.
Yeah.
Dawood was a native speaker of Arabic, but not a Muslim or a religious scholar. Notice how they said what he wasn't like 4 times, but they didn't say what he was. Guess what he was? Was an Iraqi Jewish translator who is best known for his translations of the Quran. He was born in Baghdad to a Jewish family. His name was Yehuda, but in the Iraqi tradition, his legal name consisted of his own given name plus those of his father and paternal grandparents. Nasif Yusuf David. He changed David to Dawood when he was granted British nationality in the 40s, right? So there's like 4 different names that he's known by. But he's of all of the translators of the Quran to be like recognized as the translation, it's provided by a Jew.
and not gotten right. That and that.
Can you imagine if Jewish, uh, uh, scripture, whatever, was best translated by a Muslim? Who do you think would subscribe to that? How many Jews do you think would be like, that's the guy, the Muslim knows best? So this gets even more interesting, right? Because now we jump to bin Laden's declaration of war. Remember, suicide bombers didn't exist until the 1940s. And even then, it was more of a term referred to as flying a plane into something meant you were a suicide bomber. There was no stories of people strapping bombs to themselves and then going and from the 40s to the 80s, there were only a few of those. Starting in 1981 till 2005, there are some 4,800 suicide bombs from that point. So
Well,
what?
wait a second. When was the Quran written?
1979.
79.
The thing about the Quran, the difference between the Quran and the Bible is, the Bible is not only like known to be a collection of other manuscripts put together, where a bunch were left out and a bunch were edited. You can find multiple translations of the Bible everywhere. You can go on to the Bible Gateway page, and there will be literally like 30 different biblical translations. Hang on, every Quran that's ever been found, dating back as far as they can date it, says the exact same thing.
So
The exact same thing. No, nothing has changed. Which to me gives a lot more legitimacy to the narrative than the biblical one. But, then
but my question is, so it was written in 79?
1979, I was making a joke.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no. The Quran is as old as it's
That's what I
it's
thought.
almost as old as the Bible.
But that's not even my point. My point is, back then,
Even though the Quran mentions Jesus and Moses.
well, they were prophets. They weren't. Yeah.
Yeah.
But why was Allah talking about planes back in biblical times? Like,
He wasn't. So that's what I'm saying is, prior to the
there were no
1940s.
planes. So why would he be telling people to take a plane? And
No, it's just martyrdom. Martyrdom gets you this. Well, but it doesn't. That's what it said. That it 72 virgins martyr that doesn't exist in the Quran anywhere. It's not in the Quran. So obviously people didn't follow this crazy ass bullshit for all of the history up until roughly 1981, when suddenly Muslims just started strapping fucking bombs to themselves and going and consistently doing something that has no benefit. Right? Because there's literally no benefit that comes from it. Like if there is a benefit, they don't.
we're
But
getting
his
the
Muslim
impression-
character is completely created by Jews and written by and presented by a Jewish perspective. So keep that in mind.
They were going after some, terrorists or whatever, and they caught the one guy, and the one guy said to Sam, that this is the jihad, and he said, that's where you guys are misconstrued. Jihad is not war against white people, war against Christians. It's war against
The Jews.
inhumanity. No, war against those that are inhumane.
Yeah.
And and I was like, and I looked it up that day. This was a couple years ago, and he said something about it said in there that it's not what we were taught and given the impression.
I mean,
It's
I couldn't
not
even
a
tell you what
war
I
against white people.
Yeah, I don't think it's
Christians.
ever been taught that way. I just think
Well,
that's
what I was always told.
no. I mean, I was never told anything about what jihad meant. I was just sort of like you would hear that they want this from the random white people or whatever, but like I couldn't to this day tell you what jihad means, what it stands for. Maybe we should look that up. Hang on a second. Oh shit, it's wetter than I thought it was. Damn it. So ask yourself this then. If the narrative isn't that 72 virgins are, whose idea is it that that's a prize to begin with? It's not real, right? Keep that in mind. It's not real. So this narrative was somehow created and disseminated starting in the 80s. So who thinks virgins are a prize? Male or female? Like, can you imagine your prize for anything in this world is that you get 72 virgins? How fun would that be?
Thank you. That's a lot of teaching.
That's a lot of teaching. But even then, how many, like, especially as the dude, I guess as the female, you could go gangbang style, but you're not allowed to, right? Well, and like it just said, the Quran explicitly denies carnal relations in paradise. So then what's the point of having the 72 virgins if it's not even a sexual thing? And when how old are these virgins supposed to be?
That means that they're young, and that would be really irritating.
Right.
In a room with 72 young, inexperienced people that don't know the ways of the world.
Right. I mean, they're not talking about 26, 30-year-old, you know. But even then, it just doesn't, it's just like, what? The connotation is always that it's, you know, virginity is presented as something that is a prize. Nobody looks at virginity like, you know, oh, this person's a virgin, that means they're going to clean the house better than a non-virgin would, right? You don't associate virginity with anything other than the prize that it's supposed to be. So who in their fucking in their belief structure is really focused on taking virginity? So much so that they use ritualistic sexual abuse on very young children. Like, you can see how it fits. They hid this second live. This is the 6th live today. On break, by the way. I get off work early, you know. Yeah, hopefully I'm not still alive then. And then you said east? Look at this shit, man. Oh, shit. Send me a message real quick on Facebook, Matt, so I can send you this back. Please. And thank you. I want you to see something. Well, you got a symbol for it. So, if you would have put EST, I would have known what you meant. But it says east, and then it has a translate. So it translated it to east. Is that what happened? Yeah. Always interesting. So this suicide bombing thing just doesn't make sense to me. And have you seen the meme that's been going around where it shows the girl in the hijab saying, "What's the difference between me wearing this and a nun?" And the responder goes, "Well, because nuns never explode." So first of all, women don't do it. Women aren't the. Oh, you did. It didn't even show up. What the fuck?
That is fucking awful. What a sick response.
Why the fuck is this doing this shit? This is so weird. Hang on 1 second. Let me see. All right. Weird. I did put EST. That's fucking weird. So you could have meant estimated. You could have meant, you could have meant other things. Why would it say east? That the translation made it confusing. Like if the translation would have said Eastern Standard Time, then I guess that would have been cool. But how would it have known that that's what you meant? They really make a bad change to YouTube or something. They really made a bad change to YouTube or something. I don't know. Have you seen it other places? Have you seen anybody else talking about it? It's clearly the global translation symbol. I didn't know what it was. Somebody brought it up, looked it up. That's what it was, so that's what it is. I don't watch many lives, but I am not. It's actually crazy to see they change what you say. Right. That's weird. That's fucking weird. So anyway, back to the suicide bomber thing. Like I say, when you combine it with the recent uptick in bombing, Disneyland bombing searches coming out of Israel, and you put it with what we're learning here. Oh, let's keep going. You know what? Let's keep going. Let's keep going because I want you guys to hear this next part. So Western media speculation about the motives of suicide bombers surged after the 2001 September 11th attacks in the United States. This included the 72 Virgins story. One of the earliest appearances of the 72 Virgins trope is a post 9/11 American English translation of a 1996 document by Osama bin fucking Laden, who in 1996, wasn't he Tim Osmond? And like, if you're not aware of who Tim Osmond is, you need to look a little more. But Tim Osmond was Osama bin Laden's FBI identity or CIA identity, one of the two. And so again, now we're learning that one of the first appearances of this trope is something that came out after 9/11 that was a supposed translation of something Osama bin Laden said all the way back in 1996. Do you think that would hold up in court?
Nope.
If you were to then to be like, oh well, yeah, I justified this because I committed this crime because this guy back in 1996 supposedly, according to this other guy who translated it, said this. Would that ever even work? And if he's the first guy to say it again, how does it gain any sort of traction? And if it did gain so much traction, why did it take till after 9/11 for anybody to realize what he said? Like, there's just so many pieces of this that make this story sound dumb as shit. The Hadith reference was a minor point in a long manifesto that outlined his grievances with the United States. This 1996 statement by bin Laden is usually entitled Declaration of War Against the Americans Occupying the Land of the Two Holy Places, but the document is also sometimes called the Lebanese Epostel, a term derived from bin Laden's Nasab. Nasab, I don't know what that is. I tried looking it up, it didn't help. It is a long piece and complains of American activities in numerous countries. It was faxed to Arabic language newspapers internationally. It first appeared in the London-based Arabic paper Al-Quds Al-Arabi. Al-Arabi, I don't know. So, Osama bin Laden, supposedly living in his secret encampment, has the fax machine numbers of all these different newspaper outlets all over, huh? And then has the fax machine capabilities to just send them. He has all that shit going on, right? So it was first appeared in the. So this is a translation of what he said. This, which seems weird, right? Because you would think like a translation is a translation, right? Like, how do you translate something differently? So the first one we're getting presented with is, quote, the martyr has a guarantee from God. He forgives him at the first drop of his blood and shows him his seat in heaven. He decorates him with the jewel of faith, protects him from the torment of the grave, keeps him safe on the day of judgment, places a crown of dignity on his head with the finest rubies in the world, marries him to 72 of the pure virgins of paradise, and intercedes on behalf of 70 of his relatives, as related by Ahmed al-Trimidedi in an authoritative hadith. What the fuck does that mean? As related by Ahmed al-Trimadi in an authoritative hadith. That's just weird. What a weird statement. Why isn't it like that's what he said?
Right. A little more forthcoming.
Right. Other translations of the hadith, even in translations of the same manifesto, do not use sexual language. All martyr privileges are guaranteed by Allah, forgiveness with the first gush of his blood. He will be shown his seat in paradise. He will be decorated with the jewels of belief, married off to the beautiful ones, protected from the test in the grave, assured security in the day of judgment, crowned with the crown of dignity, a ruby of which is better than the whole world and its entire content, wedded to 72 of the pure huris, beautiful ones of paradise, and his intercession on the behalf of 70 of his relatives will be accepted. I mean, it just seems dumb. Like, why would it be 72? Why not 71? What's the significance? And this is that kind of shit where, again, you think like, to try to get people to do stupid shit, you have to say stupid shit to them. And this, and you'll be given these rubies, and you'll be given a mansion, and you'll be forgiven, and you're given a crown of dignity, with a ruby which is better than its entire content, or which is better than this whole world. Which is better than this whole world. A ruby of which is better than this whole world. And so I think about this, and I think, okay, so what does it take? Like, if I was told that, that's not nearly enough for me to go, hey, you know what? Let me strap a bomb to myself and blow up a bunch of, it's never like they go to like a meet and greet with an official and they do it then, a book signing or something like that. It's always just some random like train station or something. And the only people hurt are whoever. Could be other Muslims that get hurt. They don't really seemingly care. And all they do is make Muslims look bad. Like, there's never been a suicide bomber that has raised awareness for something and made the world better. I mean, you even had that one dude that lit himself on fire and was like, free Palestine and whatnot. That didn't do shit. You killing yourself doesn't do anything. There's never been a martyr that's been, maybe in your small, like I was saying earlier, maybe you end up the hot girl at the bar in your neighborhood. But once you start going outside of your neighborhood, you become a lower and lower number. And nobody outside of your little neighborhood is going to revere you as the suicide bomber who took out 20 innocent civilians at some train station or at Disneyland. You know, that's not going to happen. You'll be forget. Like, again, think about it. Can you think of any suicide bomber offhand? Can you name one? Can anybody name one? You just get forgotten about. So this idea of 72 virgins doesn't exist, which I'm not sure why that would be a prize to begin with, unless, of course, you're a sick friar who thinks virgins are a prize. So you take away the prize, and then you take away any sort of realistic martyrdom or effect on anything. You don't actually do anything. So what's the motivation then? What if it's this? Let's look at it from a different perspective. What if you are kidnapped by Israeli authorities? You're beaten, you're tortured, and they say to you, "Hey, we're gonna not only do this to you, but we're gonna go get your family. We're gonna do horrible things to your family. Notice how nobody's come to get you. Nobody's gonna come get your family. Either put on this vest and go walk into this area, and we'll detonate it. Don't worry, you don't have to do anything. Just go do that. And not only will we let your family not feel the wrath, we'll actually give them something. We'll make sure that they get taken care of, that they get some sort of pay. We'll benefit them." Well, are you going to do it? Either way, you're going to lose. Either way, they're going to kill you. But they either kill you, just you, or they kill you and then your family and so on, and that just extends. Who wouldn't put on the vest? Or even, what if it's, here's a bag. We need you to drop a bag off to somebody who's going to come exchange bags with it. Just like in the movies. Just like how you've seen in the movies time and time again, where you sit on the bench, somebody comes, sits next to you, puts the bag down, they grab your bag and walk off, you grab their bag and walk off. That's what we need you to do right now. Don't open the bag, don't look in it. Obviously, it's none of your business. But if you do that, we'll forgive you of your debts. If you do that, we'll give you $1 million billion fulfillion dollars. If you do that, prisoner, we'll let you out of prison. How about that? You don't even know that you have a bomb. You go sit down and then they flick the button, boom. Now you're the suicide bomber. Out of the scenarios that have been presented to you, does the one where you're forced to by Israelis for numerous reasons, or the religious story that doesn't exist, which one makes more sense to you? What do you think people are more likely doing? You think they're more likely doing something based on some bullshit that we don't know about? Because again, no suicide bomber ever survives. And then they always seem to have a manifesto laying out exactly what they were doing. Almost like it was there for them already. Yeah. Oftentimes when seen by family members and whatnot, they go, that doesn't look like their writing. That doesn't sound like them speaking. But no, it's real. It's a real thing. It's a suicide bomber. Yep. Because, for literally no reason. Like that's the thing. Literally, there's no viable reason. And it's such a manufactured narrative that it basically doesn't exist until 1981. There is no such thing as suicide bombers. Nobody was ever, putting a bunch of dynamite on themselves and tying it all together and then going into the bathroom and lighting the fuse, and that stuff never fucking happened. How many of you guys knew that? How many of you guys thought that suicide bombers must have been a thing forever? You don't even think about it, right? Because you're just given a narrative and you go with it. Mainly because if you go against it, then people are allowed to do things that they're not allowed to do any other time. If I tell you that you clearly have a problem with impulse control and portion size, and you're eating yourself into an early grave, and I want to do everything I can to help you not do that, you realize you'd have probably attacked me by now. I wouldn't have gotten that whole statement out. And that would be something that would be, the police come and they say, well, he was saying I was fat. And the police would be like, did you say she was fat? And I'd be like, she is fat. But I was trying to help her. Well, you can't say she's fat. And I'd be the one to get in trouble for it. We allow people to attack people in certain circumstances. And one way that you're allowed to be attacked and nobody's going to come to your aid, especially not the police, is when you stand up against the system, when you know your rights, when you question things. I know growing up that the two things I didn't want to be, three things I didn't want to be, were somebody that didn't believe in God, somebody that didn't think we went to the moon, and somebody that didn't think the world was round. I know I was actively, shown multiple examples of somebody who would question something out of line and they were allowed to be attacked. I know personally, being somebody that never believed in Jesus, I was allowed to be attacked in ways that I wasn't allowed to say anything back. I wasn't allowed to, definitely not allowed to initiate something negative. Even my wife, would tell me that when my neighbor would come over and be in complete judgment of our lives and say, well, I don't think you guys are living good enough. You need Jesus. Jesus will help you make your lives better. Like, she's judging you. But she knew who she was talking to. And she would come out, she'd see it, and she'd go, okay, how about this? What about this? And she would present me with something. And my wife would sort of expect me to be like, oh, that's a good thing. Oh, I respect your opinion, and I'm just going to stay silent. And to me, that would just be even more rude. She was engaging me. She knew what she was doing. Let's have a conversation. Just because she would get upset by what she believes in failing her, that doesn't mean I should adjust who I am. If you adjust who you are and you don't say things or do things because you're worried about offending somebody one way or another, guess what? You're not going to do anything. Because somebody is always going to be offended by something. You shouldn't be offended by people. Just because I disagree with you doesn't mean, anything, right? Especially when you're the one that's right and I'm wrong. So what do you care? How is that anybody's business but your own? How is what anybody's business but your own? And so, you look at, again, look at your belief structure. Look at everything you believe because you've never actually looked into it. You were just told something, and for some reason, you decided that that was the truth. You've been presented multiple things in your life that you didn't think were true, but for some reason, especially when it comes to Jesus and all that shit, you think it's true. And then look at the narrative you're given regarding suicide bombers and how you thought that was true until today. You were today years old when you realized that that 72 virgins thing was bullshit. New law for Christmas. Gonna try it right now. That's a good idea. Other parts of the 1996 manifesto are less often quoted, such as, "It should not be hidden from you that the people of Islam have suffered aggression, inequity, and injustice imposed on them by the Zionist Crusaders Alliance and their collaborators, to the extent that the Muslims' blood became the cheapest and their wealth as loot in the hands of the enemies." Yeah, that part never gets told, right? Have you ever heard that Osama bin Laden was talking about the Zionist?
No.
That part was never presented to you?
No.
Just the 72 virgins over and over and over again. Their blood was spilled in Palestine and Iraq. The horrifying pictures of the massacres of Qana in Lebanon are still fresh in our memory. Massacres in Tajikistan, Burma, Kashmir, Asim, Philippine, Fatini, Ogdani, Ogden, Ogaden, Somalia, Iriti, Chechnya, and in Bosnia Herzegovina took place. Massacres that send shivers in the body and shake the conscience. All false claims and propaganda about human rights were hammered down and exposed by the massacres that took place against the Muslims in every part of the world. Hey, where are the multiple translations of that? Does that have multiple translations too, or is it just the one part?
Just the one part.
Just the part about the 72
The part that might affect a guy's dick, yes.
Well, not just affect a guy's dick, but paint them in a very particular light as like these horrible savages who have no real motivations other than their own carnal deviations. And it's such bullshit. It's such bullshit. And this part, that last part, was so much more clear. Like it wasn't this whole the lights and the wed to the this and that that shit's all bullshit. This is literally giving you the reason that's always left out of things. Oh, we're the most hated people in the world. We're the most persecuted people in the world. Everybody hates us and is so mean to us. Why? I don't know. I have no idea. We never did anything to anybody ever. We're just so good and loving and caring. Similar statements in other Al-Qaeda propaganda. That's propaganda, huh? How is that propaganda? I don't understand that part. Gained heated attention when bin Laden's letter to the American people suddenly went viral on TikTok in 2023. Never heard that. Most media attributed it to TikTok, but closer analysis showed Twitter might have been responsible for the spread. Let's see, the letter to the American people is a manifesto of bin Laden published by Al-Qaeda in November 2002, initially appearing on a Saudi website linked to Al-Qaeda. Its English translation was widely shared online and was published by The Observer, a British Sunday newspaper affiliated with The Guardian. The letter criticizes American foreign policy in the Middle East, particularly as it applies to its support of Israel. Gee, it's like I don't even have to try anymore.
No, you don't.
What are the chances, right? I'm just going from random thing to random thing, and every single thing, just like, no, it's this thing you were talking about. It's a thing you're not supposed to talk about. Really well. I do it very well. The letter criticized, particularly to justify attacks on American targets. It also employs anti-Semitic tropes. Oh, these anti-Semitic tropes. While the letter presents rationalization for the September 11th attacks, does it? Perpetuated by Al Qaeda a year prior, it does not explicitly claim responsibility for them. Bin Laden would first publicly do so in a 2004 videotape that, you know, isn't him, but okay. Remember, this is a CIA asset named Tim Osmond. Just remember that. Every time we talk about anything that has to do with this guy, this is a CIA asset named Tim Osmond. The content blends religious, moral, and political critiques against the U.S., portraying it as an imperial power hostile to the Muslim world and justifies war against the U.S. The letter criticizes the U.S. for not adopting Sharia Islamic law, condemns it for economic practices like usury. That's the practice of lending money at interest. For the government to be providing its people money at interest is fucking insane. It's against the law. But it's okay, right? Because, and accuses it of moral decay due to the social acceptance of practices contrary to purported Islamic values. Do you really think Osama bin Laden was trying to get the U.S. to adopt Sharia law? Like, in what practical sense would that even begin to make?
Right. No, I never understood that.
Well, because it's not true. Right. He's not that dumb. That's just not a practical thing. The letter criticizes the U.S. for not adopting Sharia law. I'd love to see that part.
Right.
The letter justifies targeting American civilians in retaliation against the indiscriminate attacks of U.S. forces, arguing that U.S. nationals indirectly support U.S. policies through democracy and taxes. Well, I mean, again, it's saying if you're going to indiscriminately kill our people, why should your people be any more valuable? And I can understand that. That's what anybody would say in the face of the occupying U.S. force that is literally shock and awe, carpet bombing civilian areas, and then presenting it on TV as like a fireworks display. If you're not of the age where you remember that, the shock and awe campaign of 2005 or whatever it was, and it had to be 2000 after 2005. It had to be 2006 because it was right when we first got together. But they showed it on TV like it was a fireworks display. And they were dropping bombs on civilians. Needless to say, it wasn't received like they thought it was going to be, like they always do, because that's what they do. There's a huge business right now in Israel of ferry boats, of people buying tickets on ferry boats and other civilian watercraft when they know a bombing campaign is about to be run. And so they get on their boats and they go and they watch as bombs are dropped on civilian areas and they cheer. They have looking stations set way far away from certain civilian areas that you can, like, you know how when you're on top of a building, you can look through one of those things and it costs you $1 for like the binocular system that they have. They have those things set up so people can watch areas being bombed, civilian areas being bombed. with these disgusting psychopaths, the more death and destruction you show them, the happier they are. They're like, yeah, yeah, show us more, show us more. And they thought that's who the Goyim were. So, like during Vietnam, they would show all sorts of horrendous things on the news every night. Well, guess what? We don't respond to that well. We don't do that. When we see a little girl running down the street with her skin hanging off from a napalm attack, she's naked, and this picture wins the Pulitzer Prize for the year. We don't go, yeah, that's good. Look at that bad guy, little girl, bad guy. We go, oh my God, what the fuck are you doing? Stop it. When they show American soldiers using flamethrowers on bamboo huts, we don't go, yeah, America. As a matter of fact, when those people came home, they were spit on. They were booed. They weren't received well. They really did a really horrible job of fucking up, the patriotism. Because the patriotism was there, and then it went away, and they did a good job of bringing it back now. But a fantastic movie, one of the best movies ever made, actually, is Rambo 1. Because it shows you. Like, if you watch that movie, the part that's always left out of that movie is that he was a veteran who was suffering severe PTSD, trying to go find other members of this elite unit that he belonged to just so he could have some sort of connection to somebody, only to find out they're all dead. And so he's just sort of walking around, hitchhiking, just trying to find these people because there's no internet and shit. And as he gets to this small town and he's just walking, the cop pulls up on him and is like, hey, what are you doing here with that jacket on? And you could cause a problem with that jacket and that flag. And he's like, yeah, I'm just walking through. Maybe thought I'd get something to eat and then be on my way. And he's like, well, you're not stopping here. You want me to give you a ride to the other side of town? And he's like, no, I'm good. I'm just walking through. Don't want any trouble. Just walking. Just want to get something to eat. And because he's a veteran, Rambo happens. That's why Rambo happens. And that scene at the end when he's like, he's crying and he's like, why am I still alive? And, that shit is heart-wrenching. It's literally, it gets, chalked up as like, But the reality is all of the Rambo movies are really, really fucking good. You take out the gratuitous violence to appeal to the audience, to allow, to let the friars allow the movie to be made. And you look at the underlying narrative, and they're all very, very powerful fucking movies. Stallone was doing something really good back then. I had two brothers that were in Vietnam, and they were fucked up for life from it. But we always talk about how they were fucked up by what they were doing, right? Nobody talks about the fact that those kids were injected with all kinds of shit. Maybe a lot of the reason why they came home so fucked up is because they were injected with shit to make it so that they could tolerate being in the scenario they were in. And once they weren't in that scenario anymore, that whatever was in them, that hyper awareness, that paranoia that is what kept you alive back in those days. Well, that doesn't go away. And so now they're like prisoners of this thing that didn't go away. We don't know. We just chalk it up to, they were shell shocked. And again, the fact that our society, the friars of our society, they're the ones that created the spit on them, narrative. Like at any given time, you have to ask yourself, who has so much money that they can just not go to work and show up and protest somewhere? that the boss is going to be like, oh, you're going to take the day off to go protest? Go right ahead. And especially when it comes to like long-term protests. Who just has that ability to fucking do that at the drop of a dime? You want us to protest and go, you want us to march for this long in our Sunday best? Okay, let's just go do that. Who's paying their fucking bills? Who's keeping the lights on where their family's concerned? You have to start questioning everything, not just the things that you don't like. I was my stress of being a ton around. Any of it is insane. You're some dumb kid. You've been filled with all this America First propaganda. The guy smiling, the cartoon face, the shadows in the window, and oh, who is that? Who is that? And then the light shines on, and it's just your friendly neighborhood Marine. He's gonna come back, and he's gonna be a hero, and everybody loves the Marines. And you're like, yeah, this is cool. I'm gonna do okay. You're fucking 17, 18. You don't even grow hair everywhere yet. You got a little chesticle patch, if that. And they're like, all right, son, we're going to put you through a little bit of a camp where we beat the shit out of you for 6 months. And then we're going to send you off to the jungles of fucking Malaysia, Thailand, something. And you're going to go walk through jungles with spiders bigger than your fucking head. And you didn't plan for this. No, you had no idea this is what you were signing up for. You're going to march around and you're going to kill civilians whenever you get a chance to. You're going to be surrounded by motherfuckers who break and cut people's ears off and make necklaces out of them. And that's going to be your best buddy because that guy's keeping you alive. Right out of high school. Right. It's such a horrendous, I cannot imagine. I feel that's the reason, right? That's the reason why, since my kids have been able to, if we see a guy with a hat on, the hats, the acknowledge me hats. That's why they wear those hats, to be acknowledged. And it breaks their hearts that they're not. And so every single time we go, if I just tap them on the arm and I point the guy out, they walk. I already know. There's no arguing that one. They don't even try. They walk right over, they extend their hand and they say, excuse me, sir, I just want to say thank you for your service. And you should see the guy's face every time. Every time. It's like it hasn't happened to him. And he goes, oh, thank you, young man. And he looks over at you and he's like, thank you. And his whole day is made from that point on. He might have been a grumpy fucking old man grumpy pants the whole time. When that happens, you can just tell something changes even if it's just for a second, it changes.
I can't tell what his stance here is. Is he Jewish?
The number of Jewish people killed worldwide due to anti-Semitism, deliberate violence motivated by anti-Jewish hatred, including hate crimes, terrorist attacks, institutions from is estimated approximately 1,400 to 1,500 worldwide between 2015 and 2016 and 2025. So that's also including what would supposedly be the October 7th attacks, where they say it's 1,139. This figure is dominated by the October 7th, 2023 Hamas attack, around 1,200 people, mostly Jewish civilians, with some foreign nationals and security personnel. The attack is widely classified as an anti-Semitic massacre due to its targeting of Jewish communities, especially anti-Jewish rhetoric and lots of brutality. Diaspora outside of Israel. He didn't type this shit. He posted this. He copied and pasted this. So he's just pushing.
I can't tell. Is he
Reliable tracking and from information from organizations like the ADL. That's not reliable. Reliable tracking does not come from the ADL.
Well, he cited more than one source. He didn't just go with one source.
Right. But this notion that anytime something happens to a Jew, it's a more serious crime than when it happens to anyone else. It's insane.
Oh, I gotta keep moving.
You know, whenever a Jew is killed, it's not just because they were Jewish. There's probably other motivations behind it. But anytime it happens, it gets chalked up as because they were Jewish.
Oh, keep reading. It's crazy.
Hmm?
Keep reading. It's crazy. It's packed with information.
Community Security Trust, again, that's
the Jewish police, right? The Security Council.
It's the Secure Community Network, is actually. Oh. And the reports from Tel Aviv University indicate around 40 to 50 murders and anti-Semitic attacks from 2015 to 25. Notable incidents include 2015 Hyper Kasher Kosher supermarket attack in Paris killed 4. Again, I'd love to know what that is. The Tree of Life synagogue shooting in Pittsburgh killed 11. I don't buy that. I do not believe that's a real narrative. And I believe I can present a better narrative than can be presented as far as it being truth. The Poway synagogue shooting in California, that was literally 6 months to the day later. Or 90 days to the day later, something like that. And that killed 1 person, which again, that story is such a manufactured bullshit narrative. John T. Ernest goes in to shoot a synagogue, comes in, shoots a few of his bullets with his somehow military-grade assault rifle. He goes to shoot the rabbi, but a woman jumps in front, so she gets killed. And as he goes to shoot again, the rabbi grabs the barrel of the gun, and he shoots and blows off just one of his fingers. Just one finger gets taken off by the, high caliber semi-automatic military.
No burns on his hands from the muzzle getting fucking hot as fuck.
Well, actually, the gun, I don't really know. Like the narrative is crazy because you then have the narrative that the rabbi, according to him, carried children out of the synagogue. He didn't carry just a child. He carried this old rabbi who had his finger blown off, was now carrying children out of the synagogue. They had one little girl that was interviewed that supposedly got hit by shrapnel. It had hit her face and a piece had hit her leg.
From what? His finger?
But when she was interviewed the 2 days later, it was like she was like, yeah, it's right here and here. Leg where? Apparently had healed up. And the little girl had this obviously prepared speech that she was reading out. But later on in the day, the rabbi who had his finger supposedly blown off was then giving a speech where he was raising up his hand that he had just had, and he was like, and we will fight this scourge of antis. Well, I can tell you that having had your hand operated on, you're not lifting it up.
Nope. And shaking it.
And doing anything.
I've had my little finger operated on. So if it was just his little finger, like.
But no, the nerve block. Your arm is a noodle. It doesn't do anything. It has to be in a sling, or else when you turn, it'll like bang into shit.
And mine kept sliding out of the sling, and I didn't even notice it. It slid out, and I'd look down and be like, "Oh fuck."
Yeah, no, it's that first day you're not rah, rah, giving a rah rah speech.
And the next day you're not, because that shit's swollen and hurts inside.
Oh, it's awful. But so John T. Ernest, his gun then jams. He goes and runs out, gets in his car, drives away, unscathed, unidentified. Oh, there was another cop was in the audience, and he started shooting back. So We don't necessarily know who actually's bullets killed what, but we don't talk about that. So that guy started shooting back, and when that guy started shooting back, John T. Ernest's gun jammed, and he went running out, got in his car, drove down the road, called the police. They told him to pull over and wait for the police, so he did, was taken in with no incident.
That's what all the bad guys do on the shows.
That's how it worked.
They all pull over, turn themselves in, and just sit there patiently waiting for the police to arrive.
After they escape. Instead of
Shot
just
people and
being
escaped.
waiting there at the scene, they escape first. Get away.
Are you done?
Oh yeah, I was like, why do I even have your phone?
You got some that story.
Oh shit, it's gone.
Here, I'll get it back. Okay.
2,500 subscribers. I have one viewer. How did he get his finger down the barrel of the two? Yeah, it was like a cartoon. He thought if he stuck his finger in the barrel, it wouldn't work. You know, he is an inbred friar, so it is believable to think he's that dumb. Other isolated cases in France, Germany, Uruguay, Tunisia, and everywhere else, or in elsewhere, e.g., stabbings or shootings motivated by anti-Semitic hate. No major fatal anti-Semitic attacks were widely reported in the diaspora in 2020 to 2021 due to the COVID lockdowns, and the total remained low until post-2023 spikes in threats, though fatalities stayed rare outside Israel. So think about that. Basically what they're saying is that when people say things that they don't like, it's then reported as some sort of crime.
Hate crime.
Right, hate crime.
Specifically, which carries a much different
Right.
connotation and penalty.
Which, again, it's associated with the Secure Community Network, where you can call and report these things or go online. So basically, anytime somebody says something that a friar doesn't like, they call this hotline or they go online and they click the boxes or they say, this happened, and it gets logged as a hate crime. And then they walk around saying how they're the victims of the most hate crimes in the country. Why? Because blacks don't have that. Can you imagine if blacks had a hotline they could call to report to a national database
Racism.
every time they didn't like something that was said or done to them? I mean, the number would be astronomical. And the thing is, with that number being astronomical, white people, especially those fed by the friar-run news, would say that they're just lying. They're exaggerating. The friars aren't exaggerating. The friars aren't lying. The ones who lie all the time. Israel, beyond October 7th, around 100 to 150 Jewish Israelis, civilians and some security personnel were killed in terrorist attacks or anti-Semitic motivated violence from 2015 to 2022 and 2024 to 2025. So for 7 years plus one more year, so 8 years, you have at the most 150 friars killed in that time. So that would basically be like 2 a year, or 8 years, 150. So you'd have what, 20? Right, 20 per year? Not even 20 per year. Less than 20 per year? At the very most. That's a pretty amazing statistic for the most persecuted people in the world. Karen, yo ho ho ho, yo ho ho yo. Rocket attacks, stabbing, shootings, and vehicle rammings during periods like the 2015 to 2016 knife infantada. Isolated incidents in 2024 to 25, fewer than 20 to 30 reported fatalities. These are tracked by Israeli government sources and terrorism databases as targeted attacks against Jews Israelis due to their identity. And yet, you never actually see any of it. And every time there is reports of it or anything, claims of it, somebody spray painted something or something like that, it turns out like 90% of the time that it was Jews that did it. And they lied because, it was not a lie. It was real in my mind. I did it to inspire hope and to help people. It was not about making money and movie deals and all that stuff. They're literally always caught doing that shit. And they never get in trouble for it. Key notes. The vast majority of the total stems from the October 7th attack, which some sources describe as the deadliest anti-Semitic attack since the Holocaust. Which is funny because both things are fake. Both stories are fake exaggerations and completely manufactured narratives. Isn't that crazy? Exact counts vary slightly due to definitions, e.g., whether to include all conflict-related deaths or only explicitly hate-motivated ones, and underreporting in some regions. Oh yeah, some of them are so reluctant to report when something happens to them, when they don't like something. They're not reporting it. Data comes from the number one source is the ADL. So literally, none of it could be true. The ADL is not official in any sort of way, is not regulated or controlled by any sort of official government, non-biased, non-partisan agency, nothing. The ADL is a 100% Jewish-controlled, Israeli-controlled agency. With its stated goal to benefit only them and Israel. Like it's such a fucking joke. The CST, which I don't know what the CST is, maybe we should look that one up. The Israeli Ministry of Foreign Affairs and academic reports. So literally, all of this information comes from them alone. If you don't realize that's what's being said, I just don't know what to say to you. And it's not like they have a history of telling the truth, of not exaggerating their victimhood. Global underreporting is possible, but major incidents are well documented. This excludes non-anti-Semitic violence, general crime, or military deaths in wars. Yeah, fuck this piece of shit.
So is he supporting them by? I don't understand. I can't tell what his stance is by.
Well, but that would be right. That would be what a Israeli supporter would post. I'd check his other posts and see what he has to say. But what happened with me, right? That's Jesse Howe. That's the missing link, Jesse Howe. That's the fucking agent, Jesse Howe, who changed his name to Jesse Stevens, I guess.
Mm-hmm. People only change their name for one reason.
How do you feel about Mr. Trump making weed even more legal? That's my president. Right. Appealing to the dumbest nature of people. Making it more legal. Okay, so it should have been something like this is exactly why it was illegal for as long as it was. So when they needed something to distract stupid people, they could do that. And now people will say, oh, well, Trump made weed better, more legal. Whoa. And now you have something to hang your hat on because you have nothing else. But literally, this isn't, Trump doesn't do any of it. This is where it's just so stupid.
Wasn't Obama the one that to make it legal to begin with? And those people that love Trump don't like Obama, so just throw that back at him. Well, Obama did it first.
It just, right. Well, Trump made it more legal, though. Trump made it more legal. So.
Yeah, well, Obama couldn't. We had to take baby steps because Congress sucks.
You're grateful. It's a distraction. They can't keep making weed illegal. They
It's
were
a goddamn plant
right.
that grows naturally, people.
But they were losing cases left and right. And they were losing, the finances that go into that, the time that's taken. All the weed cases that were coming up weren't holding up in court.
Right, the Gen Xers are now all the CEOs. They weren't going to stand for it.
Right. So this making the weed more legal is just to appease you. It's an illusion. And I guess, for you, you're like, but it makes me happy. So as long as I'm benefiting, I'm going to ignore all the other shit. It's crazy, man. To associate something like that with Trump is just funny.
Yeah, that's comical.
Right. Because he had a very anti-weed stance in the beginning.
He also single-handedly took women's rights away from them. You credit him for that, too?
He's also on damn near every page of the Epstein files and blah. Like, he's the distraction he's supposed to be. He doesn't make any decisions. They weren't like, all right, Mr. Trump, here is the let's make weed more legal thing. What do you want it to say? No, they presented him with something, he signed it. It's what he does. That's how that whole system works. Why are people so stupid when it comes to this man? Do you honestly think that he is somehow different? Remember Sleepy Joe? Remember Sleepy Joe? Do you know how many times Trump's been caught sleeping? You know why? Because he's as old as Biden was at the time. When Biden was too old, Trump's the same age now.
What?
And guess what? He's falling asleep left and right.
Because when you're that age, you're not meant to work those kind of hours. Even if it's just 4 hours a day, when you're that age, you're not meant to.
Because Virginia was a commonwealth, and commonwealths were allowed to have different shit. But that, again, that doesn't have anything to do with Trump.
Oh, Virginia, it's still very illegal.
Well, no, that's what's being said is like in those other places where it wasn't, where they were still really strict, Trump has federally. See, so this whole time, legalization was still federally a crime. Weed was still federally a crime. So your state could make it legal, but on a federal level, if the federal government decided that they wanted to do something about something, they could. They could come down on you for weed. So I think that's what's changed is on a federal level, it's not, it's more legal in that regard. I hope they are releasing people in prison from it. They're not, right? And even if they are, then what? Do all those people get to sue? Do all those people get to say, hey, you took my life away from me, you took away my sanity, you took away my ability to get a job in the future, you took everything from me, where's my money? You arrested me and imprisoned me for something that wasn't a crime.
But back when they did it, it was.
Right. So now what? Now, oh, you let me out, but you fucked up my life. Think about all the people that got 20 fucking 30 years for having pounds of weed. Rapists are getting a slap on the wrist, couple years, this, that, and the other. Weed fucking, people with weed were getting, But that should open the door to lawsuits. I mean, and those people should be compensated. Their lives were taken from them. They weren't criminals. That is the $1 million question. How can people be so stupid for this guy? Because they're Christians. Because there's so many NPCs out there. Because you're told you have to be. Because you're given this illusion of choice. You pick the president because they say, I'm going to slap you in the face with the left hand or slap you in the face with the right hand. And you, thinking that you're smart, you go, well, let me ask you a question. What hand are you? And they're going to, I'm right-handed. Oh, well, I assume you can't slap as hard with your left hand, so I'm going to pick your left hand. Go for it. And you let them slap the shit out of you. People aren't going, hey, I don't want to be slapped. How about I slap you instead? You just threaten to slap. How about I slap the shit out of you for threatening me? And that's this. We're at this point where we have to get past the Christianity. Christianity is their last, the last grip they have on things. Until we can get people to get past Christianity, I don't know how to do it. I really don't. I mean, you're seeing like every truther out there. So what's so interesting to me is how many truthers, Nick Fuentes, Ian Carroll, Stu Peters, Alex Jones, you guys name, there's tons of them. How many of these guys are allowed to say things that I'm not allowed to say? Right? They're allowed to have pages dedicated to, like, Ian Carroll is way more dangerous to the system than my dumbass is. Right? Ian Carroll is giving you guys names and dates and phone numbers, and Ian Carroll is on the surface a lot better than me. You dig down a little bit, and Ian Carroll's going to tell you to believe in God. And he's going to, tell you, well, it's not all the friars. I have some friars that are nice to me. So it's not all the friars, it's the Zionists. Look at me, down to 0 viewers. So I mean, tired enough at 35, physically saying, you're and talk to God like, bro, you're talking to you, you're a psycho. Yes, Y-O-U-R, a psycho. But so these truthers were all given $7K per month. It came out that Israel was paying influencers, truthers, to do something. We didn't know what exactly, and we didn't know who exactly. But the fact that they were doing it, and that Christian propaganda, you saw the newest report where the guy, they're going to train 1,000 Christian pastors, priests, whatever it is, to push, the word of Israel. And like, you see it's there. Nobody wants to ask where the fuck Ian Carroll came from. February or March of 2023, he just starts making videos, and within a month or so, he's on Joe Rogan's show. Or 59. You've seen some changes happen, boy. Look at this. We have 1 viewer. Like, I'm going to bounce. I appreciate everybody being here. And we tried to talk about suicide bombers, but I'm going to have to come back to it. Well, let's keep going here real quick. I'm just going to read the end of this. The content. Oh, this is the letter. The content blends blah 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 blah. We got there. It urges Americans to embrace Islam and demands the U.S. to withdraw its military from Muslim lands and to end support for corrupt leaders. Again, where is the negative there? It urges civilians to what does it say? countries, military force, nationals, indirect taxes. Oh, embrace Islam again. You know, embrace it. Doesn't say you have to be. You have to and end the support for Israel. Where is the negative there? Yeah, I have one viewer. Um, it also propagates conspiracy theories, including the claim that AIDS was a satanic American invention. You guys understand, like, the history of AIDS is not what you think it is. Again, it's another one of these things that when you actually look, you're like, wait, what? There's no actual documented case of somebody having HIV that manifested into AIDS? What? The letter gained renewed attention in 2023 amid you notice, and it's funny how the AIDS conspiracy theory part isn't highlighted, so you can't see what it says. The letter gained renewed attention in 2023 amid the slaughter. After a compilation of TikTok videos referencing the letter went viral on Twitter, The Guardian removed the letter from its website, citing context issues. Oh, yeah? That makes sense. Hey, this is getting a bunch of attention. Let's remove it real quick. Only says one for Karen. TikTok, responding to the video's virality, removed hashtags and videos related to or featuring the letter's contents. Man, that's almost like censorship for some weird reason. This resurgence sparked discussions on online radicalization, state-sponsored internet propaganda, and internet censorship, and the implications of suppressing or allowing access to such content. Right, why shouldn't we decide whether we want to see or believe something? The letter was published in 2002 on a Saudi website, previously used for dissemination by Al Qaeda. Following the publication, the letter's English translation was repeatedly posted online by Islamists in the United Kingdom. Yeah.
8x4, 9x5.
8x4. The thing's above on the thing.
Is it?
Yeah. Karen Greensberg asserted that the letter's attribution to Osama bin Laden was debatable, arguing that it lacked accompanying video or audio, and that issues like AIDS and incest, which had not been brought up in bin Laden's past messages, were mentioned in it. Nevertheless, she has included it in the collection of statements of bin Laden published in her 2010 book, Al Qaeda Now. So she doesn't even believe it's real, but she's using it. Gotcha. Faisal Devi theorized that the letter was primarily a propaganda tool due to the wide array of topics it addresses. In his analysis of bin Laden's accusations, Devi refers to the manifesto as, quote, a stereotyped litany of global wrongs more ethical than political in nature. Simultaneously, Devi lauded the letter for presenting a highly ethical and, quote, well-reasoned analysis that challenged the American political system and U.S. foreign policy. Robert O. Marlin has listed the letter among the two most significant documents issued by bin Laden alongside his 1996 declaration of war against the United States. Jesus Christ. It's all so goddamn stupid. In this letter, bin Laden's critique of the United States emerges, blending religious doctrines, moral judgments, and political grievances. The letter portrays the United States as a deeply hostile imperial power implementing aggressive policies against the Muslim world and justifies waging defensive war against the United States. Again, that seems very reasonable and very believable. Why are we fighting and opposing you? The answer is very simple. One, because you attacked us and continue to attack us. That's the first part. One criticism of the letter is the U.S.'s rejection of Islamic Sharia law in its governance. It contrasts the secular, human-designed legal system of the U.S. with the divine law of Islam, portraying the former as a product of human desires and whims. Again, that's That's what you would think they would do, is think like if they're Muslim, they would think let's incorporate Muslim laws. And like it's not that crazy. Economic practices in the US, particularly the allowance of usury, interest on loans, are condemned. Oh, what a horrible guy. He thinks that banks shouldn't be making theoretical money off of loaning us theoretical money to begin with. Because, none of you get $100,000 loan from the bank and they hand you $100,000 in bills. It's theoretical bullshit money. It exists in the ether. And good luck getting it cashed out. They'll never give it to you in cash. The author decries usury as a violation not only of Islamic principle, but also of moral standards across religions. It's very true. Bin Laden suggests that such economic policies contribute to wider social and economic injustices and accuse Jews of controlling the United States policies, media, and economy. That's not a negative. Do you understand saying that one group controls the policies, media, and economy? That's not a negative. That's something to be very proud of if you're doing it for good reasons. The only way you would ever get upset is if you were being nefarious and you didn't want people to know you had nefarious intentions. It brings us both in laughter and tears to see that you have not yet tired of repeating your fabricated lies that the Jews have a historical right to Palestine, as it was promised to them in the Torah. Anyone who disputes with them on this alleged fact is accused of, quote, anti-Semitism, with the hyphen. This is one of the most fallacious, widely circulated fabrications in history. The people of Palestine are pure Arabs and original Semites. What's up? Hey, what are you out of your cage for?
Oh man, sorry, Dad.
How did you even get out?
Bro.
Don't make me get the spiked bat.
Oh no. This is scary.
I love you, buddy. What's up? How you doing?
Good. Next away.
Cool. Do your litter box, please.
Yes, ma'am. Oh, wait, no,
What's
no.
up, Dookie Farts?
I didn't give him the box that's long, so. Oh, no, it's false. Really late.
How you doing, bud? Sleep well?
I slept all right.
Yeah. You guys missed a half hour of games. Oh my god. Sweetheart, they missed a half hour of games. Those poor kids. It is the Muslims who are the inheritors of Moses, peace be upon him, and the inheritors of the real Torah that has not been changed. When you read this stuff and like, so you hear about like the Osama bin Laden manifesto and you're like, oh, I bet it's full of all this crazy, so mean and crazy. And then you hear it and it just makes sense to you. Outside of the Islam shit, but, you would think the Muslims in the region where the Muslims live would get to decide their own Muslim policies and whatnot, especially when you consider like how much Christianity affects United States law and practices, and Judaism affects Israeli law and practices. You'd think it's not that big a deal. Bin Laden land-based the U.S. for what he perceives as widespread moral decay, citing the social acceptance and legalization of practices like fornication, homosexuality, and gambling. These, in his view, stand in stark contrast to Islamic values. The letter also depicts the United States as a country with deep hypocrisy. I mean, look, he's a Muslim. Muslims are insane, right? I don't think that Islam is correct in any sort of way whatsoever. But I do think that, like, what you've been presented isn't accurate. The letter also depicts the United States as a country with deep hypocrisy, employing double standards against non-Western nations. Some examples of American hypocrisy listed in the letter include U.S. support for the Israeli occupation of Palestinian territories and the forced abduction and torture of prisoners in Guantanamo prison without trials. Again, what part is not true? What part is the fallacy, the negative, make it make sense. If I don't steal your house, somebody else will. Let us not forget one of your major characteristics, your duality in both manners and values, your hypocrisy in manners and principles. The freedom and democracy that you call to is for yourselves and for white race only. As for the rest of the world, you impose upon them your monstrous, destructive policies and governments, which you call the American friends. Yet you prevent them from establishing democracies. When the Islamic Party in Algeria wanted to practice democracy and they won the election, you unleashed your agents in the Algerian army onto them and to attack them with tanks and guns, to imprison them and to torture them. A new lesson from the American Book of Democracy. Are we talking about something that I'm missing that's fake here? The letter also accuses the United States of supporting oppressive regimes in Muslim countries, thereby preventing the establishment of Islamic Sharia law and contributing to the oppression of Muslims. The U.S. is held accountable for economic exploitation, particularly of oil resources in Muslim regions, and for its military involvement in these countries. This includes its support for Israel, notably its actions against the Palestinians and plans regarding Jerusalem, which Trump signed over to Israel and said Israel, the capital of Israel is now Jerusalem. And yeah, everything that he said came true. I mean, I just this is just fucking crazy, right? This is fucking crazy. And it seems like the main sort of topic that just keeps coming up is the Israeli support, or the support for the Israeli genocide of the Palestinians. That seems to be the problem repeatedly. That was the issue with the Saudi Arabians. That's why the Saudi Arabians wouldn't sign the normalization deal and the Abraham Accords, supposedly. In the letter, bin Laden argues for targeting American civilians, saying that as taxpayers, they are indirectly supporting their government's military interventions in Muslim countries and policies towards Israel. The stance leads to his call for jihad, resistance, and revenge. The letter invites Americans to embrace Islam, cease what it denounces as oppressive and immoral acts, and reflect on their societal and political values. Bin Laden also demands the U.S. to withdraw its military forces from Muslim lands, end its support for the corrupt leaders in these regions, Israel, and cease interfering with Islamic education. The letter concludes with a warning of continued and escalating war if these demands are not met. Just imagine it in the other way. Right? Look at how average white guy freaks out knowing that a Muslim goes to school with his kid. Like, these guys are just insane. And I can't believe that Osama bin Laden sounds like a pretty decent dude outside of his fucking crazy Islam shit. Take it easy, man. Again, I don't know if you're leaving or what. Whatever. The suicide bomb thing is not what they tell us it is. I think suicide bombs are Israeli operations 100% of the time. Forced Israeli operations where someone is forced into doing this to save their families or something along those lines. But I just don't buy this idea of the suicide bomber literally. I don't care what manifesto appears. Nothing. I don't care what narrative is presented to me. Suicide bombers make no sense outside of Israel forcing that upon somebody. Or, anybody, really. But Israel is the one that doesn't care about life enough to do that. And I think we need to keep our keep our ears to the ground on this one, because I think there's a pretty good likelihood that something fucked up's about to happen. And when it does, remember this feed that it took 6 tries to get through. With Trump, you never know what kind of sneaky shit is going on. Again, Trump is nothing. The same thing can be said with Biden. The same thing can be said with Trump again. The same thing can be said with Obama. The same thing can be said with Bush. The presidency is just a fucking disguise. It's just a figurehead. It's literally, just bullshit. It's a fake. It's a play. The whole Obamacare thing. They had a Hillary Care. It started with as Romney Care, and it morphed into either Hillary Care or Obamacare, whichever one won. It's the dumbest shit. He's going doesn't have a possible way of getting out of here. It's all it's all just distraction. They're trying to do something to get the people to stop paying attention. But this new stuff about him, killing a little girl or being there to see witness to the little girl being killed and dumped in Lake Michigan, and this shit is getting out of hand. I just don't. How can this man keep sliding through? Where is the Trump that Obama had for Trump? Like, how come there's not a character like Trump was to Obama to Trump? Because this man is just, it's obnoxious at this point. It's just obnoxious. Where is the outcry? What is going on here? Maybe it's happening. We're just not seeing it because obviously they control the news, they control the media, they control everything. But what do you guys, where does this even go? How do we even, like, the toothpaste is out of the tube. How do we get it back in? I don't ever see how, as an American society, we are sympathetic towards Israel ever again. The leadership might be one way, but the society, I don't know anybody that supports Israel. The only people that support Israel are friar cowards who have completely private pages, and they seemingly pop up on different posts, and they'll say little shitty things or whatever, but nobody supports Israel. Nobody that's not a friar. And that leads you into, like, again, who's actually watching Ben Shapiro? Like, seriously, who is actually watching him? I can't imagine anybody, any Christians, not a single person of color. I can't imagine that there's a single person of color that watches the Ben Shapiro show. I can't imagine why any Christians would. So how does he even have the position he has? He shouldn't be popular enough. The Jews make up 2% of the United States population. That's definitely not enough to accommodate for this guy's popularity and status in our system. Obviously, the control mechanism puts him in that position. He doesn't earn that shit. How many people are like, I'm a big Ben Shapiro fan, and they're Christians? I'd love to meet somebody like that. If anybody, anybody watching this, anybody knows anybody that's a Christian and a Ben Shapiro fan and doesn't happen to have a feed that is suspicious in any way, I'd love to talk to. I'd love to know what motivates you, what fuels that adoration. Do you honestly think Ben Shapiro likes you? You think Ben Shapiro supports you? He thinks that you are equal to him. Do you think that in any sort of way? Have you seen the video of Ben Shapiro knocking himself out with the punching machine? That shit is fantastic. That shit is fantastic. Oh, we did read all of it. Okay.
What was going through young Betty's brain right here? Let's roll the tape.
Busted him in his nose. Is this why he had to get a nose job and his nose isn't as big as it should be?
Context behind this clip. Bro, really, he took
Is that what it is? Oh, he's such a doofus. Okay, so there's more to this letter that comes out. Okay, so the letter received renewed attention amid the Gaza war. I'm just so sick of that term, Gaza war. After several videos on TikTok highlighted the letter and bin Laden's views against U.S. support for the Israeli occupation of the Palestinian territories. Euronews and the Washington Post. Like, the reality is, Israel should not be there at all. There should not be an Israel at all. It's bullshit. That's all Palestine. It's not Palestinian territories. It's Palestine. Anyway. TikTok users endorsed the parts of the letter related to the Israel-Palestine conflict, but omitted mention of its homophobic and misogynist arguments. Yeah, because you don't have to agree with everything to say that, hey, this thing had some good points. TikTok removed the hashtag Letter to America and other variations from its search engine shortly after the videos had spread, with the Washington Post reporting that tagged videos received more than 15 million views in total prior to its removal. So obviously the people give a shit. It's not that it goes against our American values or this, that, and the other. We clearly give a shit. Alex Haruk, a spokesperson for TikTok, stated that reports of the video trending on the platform were inaccurate before going on to say that TikTok was proactively and aggressively removing videos from the platform for violating its rules on supporting acts of terrorism. Come on. Yashir Ali, an American journalist, shared a compilation of these videos that had over 38 million views on Twitter as of November 16th, 2023. An article in the Washington Post suggested that the spread of the letter had been limited prior to Ali's compilation post, following which the coverage of the letter skyrocketed. Wire suggested that the controversy was being used by American right-wing and far-right figures to push for a ban of TikTok. Yeah, because that's what people want. From disinformation researchers suggested, some disinformation researchers suggested that the letter's resurgence was possibly the result of a coordinated influence campaign. Several sources described the reaction to the videos as moral panic. See, that's what, again, it's like the whole, if you don't believe that they're special and they deserve their own this, that, and the other, and they're better than us, then you have, a psychosis, paranoid delusions, and that you have mental disorder if you don't believe that they're special. And it's this same thing. It's not that the video's resurgence and then popularity is because we, as humans, think what's going on is atrocious. It's not that. It has to do with, with moral panic. The renewed attention to the letter prompted The Guardian to retract it from its website, citing the lack of context surrounding the letter as the reason for its removal. I thought The Guardian was the opposition newspaper. I thought The Guardian was the good guys. It's how you know it's all bullshit, man. Nobody takes something down because it's getting too much attention when attention is your fucking business. The sudden propagation of the letter and attempts to suppress its context have sparked commentary regarding online youth radicalization, state-sponsored internet propaganda, and internet censorship. Renee DiRista, a writer and research manager at Stanford Internet Observatory, SIO, criticized The Guardian and Threads for removing the full text from the website, saying, "Don't turn the long public ravings of a terrorist into forbidden knowledge, something people feel excited to go rediscover. Let people read the murderer's demands. This is the man some TikTok fools choose to glorify. Add more context." See what I mean? Just insane. How did her random tweet make it to the Wikipedia page in the forever category? Who just had her random tweet ready and rearing to go just in, like, think about that. It's all manufactured. In contrast, Marco Bastos, a senior lecturer in media and communications at City University of London, described The Guardian as being in a no-win scenario. Oh, this is in contrast? This is in contrast. It's still like none of it is in support of what's going on or what's being said. If they don't take down the content will be leveraged and it will be discussed, potentially shared, and is going to go viral. If not out of context, then certainly out of the scope of the original piece. If they take it down, they're going to be accused, as they are right now, of censorship. That's not a no-win situation. It's not a no-win situation for us to know stuff. Israeli reactions, I care about this. The SITE, SITE intelligence group, an American Israeli non-governmental group that tracks online extremism, reported that users of Islamist forums associated with Al-Qaeda celebrated the document's newfound attention. In response to the letter trending on various platforms, the Israel Defense Forces posted a brief message on Twitter condemning the letter. And that's that. Wow, it's a bad storm outside. See also to the youth of Europe and North America and to the youth of Western culture, 2015 open letters from Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Why does everybody say the same things? If it's not true, why does everybody say the same things? Anyway, you guys have yourself a great fucking day. I'm going to bounce. I'm so much fucking pain right now, so have yourselves a wonderful day, and you pedophiles, kill yourself. Don't forget to check out the links in the description. All sorts of good stuff in there, especially the website www.the-bilderberg bilderberg-group.com, where we are gonna blow up. I'm telling you, 2026 is our year, whether they like it or not. So pedophiles, kill yourself.